The legend that is Brad Rubachuk is stood next to me. Ruby, welcome to Storm Live TV. Great to have you with us. Thank you for joining us. This is what, the 5th time I've spoken to you in about 3 days?
It probably has, but you know what? It's always been good. So
we shall start with your thoughts of the game so far then, before we kind of move on to your return. What do you think of the first 2 periods here at the Storm Shelter? Well, in fact, no, I'll tell you what I'll ask you first. What do you think of the Storm Shelter? Because obviously back in your day it was the 9X and the MEN Arena. What do you think of the new home of the Manchester Storm?
it's obviously a lot smaller, but the good thing is the fans are so loud and they're pretty much leaning over top of you. So the atmosphere, like at the MEN Arena, you can have 5,000-10,000 people, but because it's so big, it's a lot quieter. Here at least, the fans are over top of you, so the atmosphere, and it's so loud in here. It's absolutely amazing. It really is.
Thoughts on the game so far then? 3-2 to the Steelers heading into the third. It's been a real gritty performance from both teams really, and tempers just starting to fray a little bit at the end of the second. Obviously you were no stranger to the penalty box, let's put it that way, but penalty is costing both teams in tonight's game.
It really is. Kind of what I've noticed in the first 2 periods, it's a different game now. There's not much hitting, a lot more finesse, but when I say that, I also see that as soon as you touch a guy, there's a penalty. Back in the day, the refs just let you play, and unless there was a major penalty or something that should be called, they call it. But now it's like you barely touch a guy and they're calling penalties. They just need to let these players play and then have an enjoyable game.
So things have changed quite a bit then, you think, in the way the officiating goes now in the Elite League to how it was back in the Super League days. You think it's a bit softer than it used to be?
I think it's like that everywhere. Like even if you watch the NHL, there's no more tough guys in the NHL. Guys are, they're scared to hit a guy in case they get a fine or a suspension. So I think it's just every league that the reffing has changed a bit, but the league has gotten faster, and they're trying to make it more exciting for the fans.
So you've been back in Manchester for a week now, haven't you? I know you spent some time with friends and family over in Liverpool for the first few days, and then obviously the kind of start to what has now been coined Ruby Weekend was Thursday night at the Cresta Court Hotel. First time you walked into a room of Manchester Storm fans in 19 years. You're now back in an arena full of Manchester Storm fans. What's it been like seeing so many people coming up to you tonight in particular? Obviously there's 120 people I think that was there Thursday night. Tonight, virtually everybody in this building chanting your name, here to see you. Even the new Storm fans who don't quite understand the Brad Rubachuk legacy, they're all getting into it as well. What's it like to be here tonight to see that number 41 raised to the rafters once again?
It's been crazy. Like it's absolutely amazing. When I first arrived and we had the dinner Thursday night, like you say, 125 people, I was kind of like walked through the door and they're chanting Ruby, and we sat down. We had a little question and answer period, and it was a nice little start to the weekend. But yeah, I didn't expect 2,500 people doing it tonight, but it's just Neil Russell did an amazing job, and I really thank him for getting myself and my family over and setting all this up. And like I said earlier, the guys on, the last 4 days, they made me feel a part of this team, and it was almost like I hadn't left. So my hats go off to these guys, and I know that I see nothing but good things in the future, and they're going to succeed.
Let's flip things around a little bit. If you were in the Manchester Storm dressing room right now, ahead of the third period, 3-2 down, heading into the final period, put your coach's hat on. Your many years of ice hockey experience, both on and off the ice, watching, playing, what would you be saying to the Manchester Storm boys now in that locker room?
Well, it's funny you say that, because Pash came up to me and he says, listen, he goes, I want you in here after warm-up and before the game, and I want you to say a little speech to the boys. So I kind of went in. There's a little bit of swearing going on, but I was trying to really get them, mentally prepared. I wanted to get them, physically. I pretty much told them, I don't care, we'll kill penalties, but nobody's coming in here and pushing us around. So what I want is, I don't care if you have to hit your own player, but I want 30 hits the first period. And, they did. They came out, they tried to throw their weight around a little bit, but, after watching it, after I haven't watched it so much, you're right, you're scared. These guys are a little bit timid, because as soon as you touch a guy and he falls down, the refs are calling penalties. It'd be nice if they could just let him play, but I think it's been a good second period. The Storm battled back, gave up one last goal, but I would just say, listen, work as hard as you can. Let's go out and tie this thing up, and we'll go from there.
I think it's going to be a very tasty third period. Temperatures are, like I say, starting to fray us a little bit. Things starting to get fired up. How much do you miss playing ice hockey, especially being here, seeing your number up there hanging above the ice? Obviously, for people who don't know, there are people out there that maybe have not heard exactly. It was one of those just sheer freak accidents that sadly brought an end to your playing career far too soon. How much do you miss actually being on the ice playing competitively? I know you kind of play a little bit of ball hockey and stuff back in Canada, don't you now? But how much would you like to strap on the pads and get out there and get stuck in tonight?
Well, I think they're going to be a lot faster than me. I don't think I can keep up with them, but or I'd be on the other end and I'd be hitting the guy and getting the penalty for it. But like you mentioned, it was a freak accident, but ended my career. But I always looked at the other side of it. Like, you never want your career to end. You never want someone else's career to end. But I looked at the other side of it, and I'm glad I wasn't paralyzed. I'm glad I wasn't in a wheelchair. So I think looking back, that it was easier to give it up, knowing that was the other result of it. I could have, if you blew your knee out, you'd be like, well, I'll just get surgery, but I'm done from hockey. You kind of think, well, yeah, it was a knee injury, but this I looked at as a positive and just moved forward from there.
One question I did ask you on Thursday, and I am going to repeat it now, just with, once again, going back to we had 120 people back then. Tonight, 2,500. I saw your kids out on the ice with you at the start. Spoke to your, what's your young lad's name? I forgot what his name is. Luke. Spoke to Luke. He was running around the Cresta Court Hotel at the end of Thursday night, realising that his dad's signature actually meant something. So he had loads of pieces of paper with his dad's signature on. He was trying to go around selling Ruby autographs. He quickly cottoned on to the fact that Dad was, a bit of a big deal round here. How have they reacted now to the weekend? We had a little chat about how they kind of took everything in on Thursday night. What a great experience then to be out on centre ice, though. Both of your children, your wife, you, people cheering your name. Do you think Dad's going to get a little bit more respect when we get home now?
I doubt it, because when we get home, I'll be the one telling them to do their homework and clean their room. I think the last few days have been absolutely amazing for them. I kind of said to them earlier, I'm like, do you know why you're here? They're like, nah. I'm like, well, they're gonna put a banner up in the rafters with my name on it, my number. They're retiring it again, and they were kind of like, oh, whatever. But the way I'm looking at it is, they might not really pay attention to it now or be really concerned about it now, but to me, it's going to be a memory that maybe a year from now they'll be like, remember we were in England and they put your banner and the fans were like, I think it's something that's going to be a memory for them in the future, and maybe not so much now. I think they're just taking it all in, having fun running around an arena, I guess.
Well, Brad, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you back in Manchester. Thousands of Storm fans say exactly the same thing. Really hope you enjoyed the time that you got left over here with us. Your number 41 is back in the rafters where it rightfully belongs, and I know you're going to be around to sign pucks, t-shirts, anything. Could be a long night in the bar ahead for you.
It'll be a really long night, but like I said, it's these fans that brought me back 18 years later, so I don't mind it at all. That's what we're here for.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Rock, number 41, Brad Rubachuk, thank you so much for joining us here on Storm TV Live.
Thank you for having me.